Contractors, have you ever had a job where the profit margin vanished faster than donuts at a safety meeting? You thought your bid was solid, but then boom, costs exploded, scope ballooned, and you walked away wondering why you even took the job in the first place. Here's the truth. 90% of construction jobs go over budget. 98% of large projects overshoot by 30% or more. But these overruns aren't random. They follow certain patterns. Red flags you can spot if you know what to look for, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I'm going to walk you through the 10 biggest estimating red flags that cost contractors thousands and how to avoid them. Red flag number one, vague scopes. I call this the trust me bro scope. The client says standard quality, nothing fancy, or the worst, whatever you think is best. It sounds pretty chill, right? But until you find out what standard means, marble countertops and maybe a rainfall shower system. This kind of vague language is profit killer number one. Scope ambiguity leads to 15 to 25% in unexpected costs. On a $50,000 project, that's up to $12,500 completely gone, vanished. So what's your solution? Define your materials, brand, model, finish, detail labor tasks, who does what and where it stops. Finally, list exclusions. Yes, you have to list what you are not doing. A good rule of thumb, if another contractor couldn't replicate your work from your estimate, your scope isn't clear enough. Let's go to red flag number two, no site visit. This one is pretty obvious, right? You can't just use the I'll just eyeball it mistake. Estimating from photos or a phone call, that's like diagnosing engine trouble over text. One contractor I know, let's call him Dave, bid a remodel based on photos, and what they didn't know, that there was sketchy electrical work, there was gravity-defying plumbing, and walls held up by hopes and prayers. Labor costs jumped 30%, job took twice as long, and the client was frustrated, the crew was burned out and upset. So what's the solution? Easy. Visit the site, measure and photograph everything, allow for hidden conditions, and update the bid accordingly. Site assessments aren't optional, they're business insurance. Red flag number three, underestimating labor. You pay your guy $25 an hour, but he really costs you $35 to $40 an hour after taxes, insurance, and downtime. Not calculating labor burden, it is you subsidizing the job. You got to build in those real costs. You have payroll, taxes, insurance, non-productive time, and of course, benefits if you're offering them. So you need to track it, you need to price it right, and you need to try to protect your profit as much as possible. Red flag number four, and this one is a big one recently, and back in 2021, lumber prices rose 300%. Some contractors lost tens of thousands of dollars overnight. And recently with the tariffs, prices are just not stable. Market volatility isn't rare. Steel, concrete, copper, drywall up 30 to 50% in many cases. If your estimate has a fixed price and you didn't protect yourself, guess who is absorbing this increase? That's you. So what's the solution? Simple. Use escalation clauses in your contracts. Add buffers 5 to 10% with expiration dates. Pre-purchase key materials when it's feasible for you. And of course, try to track your market trends. You don't want to guess, you don't want to gamble. You need to price it like a business, not like a blackjack table, which is why it's important to use tools like Handoff that track real time those material price increases. So when you produce your estimate, you don't have to think about it. Red flag to avoid, number five, markup does not equal your margin. 20% markup does not equal 20% profit, in other words. Markup adds to cost, margin is what you keep. To get a 20% margin, you need a 25% markup. Use the formula, selling price equals cost plus 1 minus desired margin. Get this wrong and you bleed profit on every single job. All right, red flag number six, scope creep. The words "while you're here" is the start of a potentially very expensive sentence. Clients mean well, but if you say yes without paperwork, you're doing free work. You need to have a good change order process. You need to train your crew to respond. We can do that, but let me write it up or let me talk to the contractor. Protect your time and you need to charge for those changes. All right, let's move on to number seven, optimistic production rates. You price based on your best day ever, but your crew is dealing with rain, tight access, 100-degree heat. you name it, any challenges whatsoever. Most labor estimates miss the mark by 20 to 50% in some cases. So you need to track real job times. You need to adjust for difficulty and any potential challenges. And you need to use conservative rates for those tricky jobs. So estimate for reality, not dreams. We're down to our last three. Let's go to number 8. Poor subcontractor management. Assuming subs will just handle it is assuming traffic just won't happen. Every sub you manage equals hours of calls, coordination, quality checks. You need to budget 2 to 4 hours per week per sub in some cases. Vet their insurance, scope, and schedule and their work, and use real markup with these 10 to 20% to cover your time. If you're managing it, then you should be billing for it. You should be getting paid for this. Red flag number 9, bad payment terms. Client wants to pay 50% after 75% of the job. That means you are financing the project. You need to use milestone payments, acquire those deposits, limit final payments to 5 to 10%. Cash flow is important. It's not optional. You need this to be able to survive and to thrive. All right, last red flag here, no contingency planning. Stuff goes wrong. You know it. It always does. It's inevitable. It's always going to be that way. If you don't price for the unknown, guess who's covering it? That would be you. So you need to add 5 to 15% contingency based on the job risks. You need to do a risk checklist and plan for delays, unknowns, and those uh-oh type of moments. Smart contractors plan for surprises. So there you have it, the 10 warning signs your estimate might cost you money. So how about we do a quick little check? Did you bid without site visits? Do you rely on base wages? Do you skip contingency or change orders? Confuse markup with margin? If you nodded more than once or twice, then your profits are leaking. Fixing even 2 to 3 of these will transform your bottom line and help you scale faster. You're not in this to gamble with your income, right? You need to be able to get paid for those things that you are not accounting for. Every one of these red flags is 100% preventable, and the best contractors don't just work hard, they price and they estimate smart. So stop leaving money on the table. I hope you found something useful with this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to our Handoff channel for more helpful information on how to help you run a more successful construction business.